I'm bloody furious.
My blood is boiling here listening to this. This ludicrous government.
Absolutely disgusting. Give me that money. Let me get out of here into a private rental because that'll pay 6 months' rent. Will that £10,000 for me?
You were born and bred here, you see, Maxine.
Exactly.
That's why the cash doesn't apply to you. Now, you may be aware that LBC earlier this morning has revealed an exclusive story by my colleague Natasha Clark. Families of failed asylum seekers will be paid up to £40,000 to voluntarily leave the UK within 7 days. That would require that, as I say, they'd have to go within 7 days. It would be £10,000 per person, capped at £40,000. What's the thinking behind that?
Well, at the moment, Nicky, you might be surprised, or certainly your listeners might be surprised to hear that the average cost of housing a family in a hotel is £158,000 a year. We're doing a targeted pilot at 150 families that, if is effective in its totality, will lead to a saving of £20 million for the taxpayer. The people we're talking about are families who have failed in their initial application, they've failed in their appeal, they have no live asylum application in this country and frankly, not a future in the country. It's not good for them, not good for the children. So we're supporting them, as has been done before in the past, but we're increasing the levels in this pilot of support up to that number to incentivise them to leave.
That's quite a reward for failure, isn't it?
Well, it's in the British taxpayers' interest, and that's the judgment that we make. To
reward £40,000. Surely this will act as a magnet for more people to try and get to the United Kingdom.
Well, first of all, this is a pilot on people already in the system. Right. So there's no pull factor in that element. It is...
If I'm sitting in Calais and I hear, guess what? If you get to the United Kingdom, even if you fail, if you take your wife or husband and 2 children, they'll give you £40,000 to leave. You don't see that as a pull factor?
No, I don't, because I know what those people are being told already, which is if you get to the UK and if you fail, they won't be able to fail in your application. They won't be able to remove you. Now, we are making changes, including our domestic interpretation of Article 8 of the ECHR, to make sure that we can remove people. But voluntary removals, which is something that previous governments have done, in fact, I believe is a matter of political consensus across the spectrum, that's a way in which countries do. Denmark have done it and had fabulous success with it, that we think helps find that balance for the British taxpayer and help those individuals build their lives.
So, just to clarify, the UK government, a husband and wife and 2 small children, they fail on all the levels, they have crossed the channel on a rubber dinghy, will then send them back with £40,000 in their pockets?
Well, set against, Nick, what the situation today is, which will house them indefinitely, costing £158,000 a year. Which do you think is a better deal for the taxpayer?
But if they fail, why are they just sent back without any cash? Why do we have to give them £40,000?
Well,
if they failed and failed and failed on each of the levels that you've outlined, why do they get a cash reward? This is like the most perverse game show you can imagine.
Well, Nick, part of the policy that we're announcing today is that for those who don't take the voluntary, well, they will be removed. But as I say, this is a balance for the British taxpayer. This is better value for the British taxpayer.
But shouldn't they just be returned without any cash, Minister?
But with respect, Nick, you and I don't affect those returns. Those are very difficult returns to do. I take pelters on the media and in Parliament on this. My ideal level of voluntary returns is 100%, because I'm not the guy who's affecting it on the sharp end of it. I made the assessment, we've made the assessment that it clearly is in the British taxpayer's interest. This pilot alone could save £20 million.
How do you get to £20 million?
Because that's the difference between the amount of money we will spend on their removal and the amount of money we would have spent on their housing. Which, and frankly, that's for an indeterminate period of time. You must appreciate that point, that if people leave rather than spending an ongoing sum of money which is larger than the sum of money, that there is value in that.
And you're closer to this than I. You're an expert. You honestly don't think people will see this as an extra magnet to try and get to the United Kingdom?
Well, they certainly can't, as I say, on the pilot, because they won't be in scope for it. But as I know already the messages that come from the traffickers, which is, don't worry, Britain won't be able to remove you, and you'll acquire enough rights to eventually get to settle.
£40,000. I don't even earn £24,000 a year, and I can barely pay my mortgage. How dare they incentivise them at all? This one comes in from Christopher. £158,000 to house a family for a year. Wow, let them have my house. In the first hour, Maxine in Leeds called. She was furious. She, unfortunately, as a result of domestic breakdown, is living in council-funded accommodation in a hotel, and then the line broke down. How many months have you been in that hotel, Maxine?
I've been in there in the hotel 2 months, but I just got to say, the Alex Norris, was it, who you've just
yes,
had on
Alex, his
speaking?
name is Alex Norris.
What a load of rubbish.
Right.
He has no idea what he's talking about. And regarding the housing system, we've no houses left because they've all been given to asylum seekers and people who come here with no money in their pockets.
So through no fault of your own, through no fault of your own, you're living in that hotel and you hear of people, a single person would be given £10,000 to go back across the channel, a total family of £40,000. Your reaction, Maxine?
Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Give me that money. Let me get out of here into a private rental because that'll pay 6 months' rent. Will that £10,000 for me?
You were born and bred here, you see, Maxine.
Exactly.
That's why the cash doesn't apply to you.
Yes, exactly, and I understand that. But what I'm saying is, just give me, if you can give it to them, give it to me, so I can get my life back on track, so I can go back to work and have a home again and lead a normal life.
Maxine, I wish you can get that all together as soon as you possibly can. I understand your anger, and I'm glad we got you on a better line. Good luck to you, Maxine, and I don't say that glibly. You've been through a lot. Patrick in Romford, your reaction to that interview. Good morning.
Good morning, Nick, and thank you for having me. I'm a first-time caller.
Not at all, sir.
I'm absolutely livid, Nick. Absolutely. My blood is boiling here listening to this. Mm-hmm. This ludicrous government, Starmer with his human rights, it just comes through again. Everyone, or most people in this country, they understand like me. We all think the same. You've got to go.
When you say we all think the same, I see. You want regime change in the UK. Never mind Iran.
I do want regime change. Like a lot of people, Nick. This is no secret here. This is no secret.
What is it that specifically has angered you this morning about this particular story, Patrick? Because
what you've just touched on, and the lady that you just spoke to. We are born and bred in this country. We've give this country away, Nick. I tell you, I haven't personally, but the government, establishments before, right?
Well, they say, look, it'll save £20 million because housing currently costs, I find this extraordinary, £158,000 a year. That's the rationale, that's the logic. Patrick?
Yep, that's right. And it's taxpayers' money that we didn't sign up to, did we?
No.
None of us. How about the poor, like that lady you spoke to, that poor lady who lives in a hotel? Yep. How about all the other people? How about the veterans on the street? How about the families right now, as I'm speaking to you this morning, that can't afford breakfast, that obviously are struggling on the breadline? And we listen to this. This is this country. We've given it away.
Patrick, thank you. Julie in Ashford. Julie, your reaction. Morning.
Good morning, Nick. I'm bloody furious.
I don't blame you.
I have been a nurse most of my working life, and it's taken me years to get a little nest egg of about £20,000.
Yes.
And that's all I've got. And I'm now being told I'm going to be taxed on my pension. What is happening to this country? What?
They would say that saving 20 million...
That,
I understand, Julie. I can hear it in your voice. Be well, thank you. Lisa, one asylum seeker in a hotel for a year equates to my daughter's 3-year university debt that she has to pay with increasing interest. It is all so wrong. Chris in Greenwich, how long does it take a Brit to save £10,000? Years and years. We can see with people trying to raise a deposit for a flat or a house. Now we're giving it to failed asylum seekers per person. They'll be sending families over left and right. John Lawson says, we are unable or unwilling to stop the boats. We'll give them £40,000 to leave. Where is the sense? What was it they said when Labour came to power? It's good to have the serious people back in the room, or whatever it was, after some buffoonery with the Conservatives. This is absurd. Roll up, get to the country, fail so you are illegal, and we'll give you £10,000 a head, capped at £40,000 for you and your family to go home. £40,000. A sum of money beyond the dreams of savings of so many of you. And as a caller just mentioned, by the way, if you just about struggle to get there with your pension, don't worry, we'll tax you on that. And at the same time, and we will come to this, the same minister telling us that the one flight the government tried to get out of Oman yesterday, bear in mind, Oman Air, they've not missed a flight. Not missed a flight from Muscat. Emirates have not missed a flight from other regions. Not all, some of them they've missed, but other parts of the region, Emirates not. The government tries one, and literally, it cannot get off the ground. Operational reasons. What are those, Minister? We couldn't get the people on the plane in time. I mean, they would struggle to run a bath, this mob. But don't worry, it's good to get the serious people back in the room, we were told. Dear God. Lucy's in Muswell Hill. You're on the radio, Lucy. What can you tell me? Good morning.
Good morning, Nick. Thank you for taking my call. It's absolutely extraordinary. Words fail me. The fact that people are going to pay £1,000 or whatever the going rate is to come across from Calais.
Yep.
They're going to be paid £10,000 per person to leave the country.
Yep.
It sounds like a new carousel. They're just going to be going round and round and round, coming back into the country.
Well, let's
Meanwhile,
put
we
the
have all
let's
these
put the
people-
arguments. It's economic. It makes economic sense because it would cost £158,000, says the government. So we're saving £20 million. Your reaction to that first, Lucy?
We're not saving any money at all because we've already paid extortionate amounts to lawyers for these people to continuously claim asylum in the first place, where they say, they've tried absolutely every possible route to, or every possible excuse to remain here. So we've paid a fortune out on lawyers, and then we're paying out extortionate amounts on hoteliers. I think somebody needs to actually approach the hoteliers and say, look, that's the room. We're not paying more than £50 a night. We're not paying £1,000 a week for these. Well, it's crazy.
Lastly, this will stop the pull factor. This is what the minister actually said. People in Calais will say, there's no point going because we'll be turfed out and be sent home. That's what he says. I think it's totally wrong the other way around.
No, absolutely not. There's a board. There's going to be a new board at Calais. There's the queue. Let's all go for our £40,000.
Lucy, thank you. Sarah's in Thurrock. Sarah on the radio. Good morning.
Hi, morning, Nick. Thanks for taking my call. First time caller, but long time listener.
Good to have you on. Thank you.
Thank you. So I guess it's almost laughable to me, this suggestion of this way forward, because I'm just thinking if people are being given that amount of money, it's going to make them quite vulnerable towards traffickers when they leave the country, or if they're going back to countries where it's really unsettled and they have £10,000 or £40,000 in their pocket. That's going to be quite problematic for the asylum seekers.
It absolutely is. What do you think the impact will be, Sarah?
I think it puts them in danger. It puts them at risk of being trafficked. And it also encourages other people to come across and have the same thing.
Well, the government, the minister says it will. It has to be a magnet, doesn't it? Despite what he says, it has to be.
Absolutely. And people have a knack of finding their way around schemes like this and finding loopholes, and they will do the same with this one.
None of the Gulf states actually take refugees up because they're not signed up to the convention. It makes more sense for me to sort of say, why don't we look at that option and say, look, you've got to get signed up to this convention like we are.
Sorry, what is the option you'd want to pursue, John?
The 1951 refugee,
right.
I've forgotten the name of it. It's a policy that we've signed up to that means we've got to take refugees. But why don't the Gulf states sign up to it? Because they don't take any refugees in.
But what's that got to do with this government policy?
Well, it would take the pressure off people in Europe.
But I don't understand why Gulf states... Why should they do that to ease our problems?
Because it's religiously aligned, it's culturally aligned. They're sort of. It makes more sense
because some of these. Well, I've got not all these people, of course, are Muslims. A lot of people come from other countries. A lot of people come for other reasons. I don't think we can expect the Gulf states to solve our problems. John, thank you. Sandy in Amersham. Let's stay with the domestic aspect of this. Sandy, your reaction to this story. Good morning.
Well, good morning. I'm absolutely beside myself with anger and hearing this.
Tell me why.
Because what I heard was if illegal asylum seekers fail in their appeal, we can't send them back. So what are the figures they've been giving us all this time about we've increased the amount we've sent back? I don't understand. They have to stay forever. So really, nobody ever fails. That if you follow that course,
yes, I see what you're saying.
Nobody can fail.
Unfortunately, I don't have the figures to hand. I see exactly the point you're making, and in a way, you've dismantled it even further, haven't you, Sandy?
Yes, because just listening to him. Well, if they fail their appeal, we have to house them. We have to keep them. Hang on, what?
Yep. No, I agree. I follow your logic. Thank you for that, Sandy. Michael in Acton. Michael, you're on the radio. Good morning.
Good morning, Nick. Excellent show as always.
Oh, thank you.
Basically, I agree with nearly all of the other callers. I mean, people are going to be incentivised to come across here.
Of course they are. Yet the government says they won't. I would say, Michael, it's bloody obvious they will.
Of course they will. I mean, you can't take anything that minister said seriously. I mean, absolutely, he's just talking complete nonsense. Just gaslighting the nation. This is a real problem. People will come over here if they think they can get 40,000 for a family of four to be here for a week or so, put up at the taxpayer expense, and then return. so many people are going to take that risk. It's going to be like a magnet.
Totally agree with you. They won't have it. I think you and I are right on that. Michael, thank you. John in Newcastle, give me £40,000. I will happily move out of the UK. Andrew in Barnes, the point you and I were just exploring. Michael, you're right. It is a magnet. It's a consolation prize. That's Andrew in Barnes. This comes in from Mick in Dunstable. We're paying thousands of pounds to people who are here illegally. My mother has to sell her house to pay for her residential care. Why? Jenny in Horsham. Paying migrants to leave is ridiculous. When we pay for their accommodation, the money stays in our country. This way, the money doesn't. It's typical Labour. They don't understand the economy. Well, remember those who told us, the sensible people who come back into the room when they came to power? 8:29. Brian's in Rayleigh. Brian, your reaction to this story? Good morning.
Oh, well, I've got to save £100 today, Nick, by not speeding. And if I do it every day this week, it's £700.
I don't. So this is. I see. This is the rationale of how the government. I see. These people.
Madness. It's. So looking at the numbers, they're giving away about 5 or 6 years' income for someone on sort of lower pay, about $15,000 a year. Taxed now. We're all taxed, of course, up to their hilt. I mean, this is sheer craziness. I mean, I worked abroad, and wherever I went, I had to have a passport, a visa, I had to return tickets for the aircraft, I had the hotel booked, give them the information, and these people are just walking in, and then you're paying them to go because you're saving money. It shouldn't be here in the first place.
I get your analogy. Yeah, if they acted properly, they wouldn't have to get the £40,000. Thank you. Steve's in Southampton. Steve, thanks for hanging on the line. You're on the radio. What do you say? Good morning.
Good morning, Nick. Well, I'd like to know if Mr. Norris wants to take any responsibility for the increased incentive to force now children to cross the channel. Because if we're talking about people that don't qualify, fail the asylum at multiple points, so we know that they don't have any genuine status, these are people that are willing to manipulate a system. Is this government willing to accept that, £40,000, as you quite rightly said, that's 2 adults, 2 children? Therefore, because I don't agree with them at all that this doesn't incentivise people. It is 100% a magnet. They can say it until the cows come home.
Thank you. So, Steve, I thought that, and I'm glad you thought that, and others, but the minister just won't have it. Your answer to this question is ask him, why can't they see this? What do we not making plain to them, do you imagine?
Well, I don't know, but I think this is to pull the wool over our eyes anyway, because they cannot deport people. As that lady, I think it was the previous caller, she said, they're failed and we can't deport them. That's all that this shows up. So what this is going to be a snapshot to say, we managed to get 100 people to leave. Aren't we great? But they're not. All they're doing is saying, but they can't count them as deportation because they're leaving voluntarily. So this government's going to try to attempt to go, we've got a new way to deport people. You have not deported them. They have self-removed. They've removed themselves from the situation, yeah.
And, of course, with quite an impressive cash enhancement. Steve, thank you. Cecil in Ashford. Cecil, your story. Good. Is that Ashford, Kent, or Ashford in Middlesex? Where are you?
That's Ashford, Middlesex. Hi, Nick.
Good morning to you.
Show.
Good
morning to you too. Well, I'm from Pakistan. I came here on a work visa about 5 years ago, and I've been working, and now I'm got my ILR for my family, my wife and 2 kids.
You got your ILR, did you say?
ILR, indefinite leave to remain.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've got the permanent settled status, but I know people who have come on asylum from my country, and I'm just speaking from that mindset. You are absolutely right in asking the minister that this is going to be a pull factor.
Yeah.
I mean, just to give you an example, a family of 4 spends about, let's say, £1,000 per person for the flights, £500 per person for visit visa to the UK. So that's £6,000 you spend. You come to the UK, you're here, you are getting allowance, your asylum claim is going through. Till then, your children are getting a decent education, and after 3, 4, 5 years that your asylum claim fails, you go back with £40,000. So you're in a profit of about £26,000. You spent about 4, 5 years here. Your kids have gotten a decent education. You may have saved some cash for yourself. It's a win-win for anyone who wants to just come to get that £40,000 and go back.
Cecil, can I ask you what attracted you to come and start a life here in the United Kingdom?
Well, I was offered a position by a charity that works over here, and I came. They sponsored me, and I came over here on that basis.
And is life in the UK everything you hoped it would be? Is it better than you hoped? Is it not quite what you were expecting? How would you define that, Cecil?
Well, if I compare it to my home country, and I'm a Christian minority from Pakistan, so when I compare it in that regards, it's definitely much better over here. The quality of life is much better, but I also see that there are a lot of us Pakistanis who don't integrate into society over here, and that they sort of ghettoize themselves, and that is something which my principle was, when we come here, we need to swim with the tide. The more we think that we will stay within our own people, the more difficult it will become for us to actually adopt this system.
Cecil, thanks for all the background. Good luck to you and your family. Really interesting. I'm so glad that you've chosen to integrate and enjoy the British way of life. I wish you nothing but success. Mark is in Basildon, and I think it's boiling over with you, Mark, and it's reaching a high temperature mark. Mark, good morning.
Morning, Nick. I don't think I'm boiling over. I think it's just laughable, really. And the thing that really gets me is when he said it's in the interest of the British taxpayer. And I think by everyone who's phoned in, I don't think it is in the interest of the British taxpayer, where they're just squandering all our hard-earned money.
So I've been looking at obviously my colleagues take the phone calls, but I'm looking at the texts and the emails. There's not one person, and I'm just looking at you. Normally there's someone who said, "Oh, you're not understanding this, Nick. This will work because X, Y, and Z." Mark, there's not a single person putting their hand up for this.
No. And they say that they want to improve the working life of everyone, and giving us all these so-called savings, and then they squander it in the next hand by giving away 10 to 40 grand to people that, do you know what, give me a dinghy, I'll cross the channel for 40 grand.
Well, I don't want to put your life at risk, Mark. That's the serious point of it. Mark, thank you for that. Ian, this £40,000 is a fool's game. Let's play it through. We pay $40,000. They go home. They get a new house with the money. Their friends say, "Where'd you get the money from?" They say the UK. The week after, 5 more families arrive in the UK, hoping to be returned with their mortgage paid when they get sent back. Scott in West Hampstead, the £40,000 our inept government offering failed asylum seekers is sheer madness. As a British taxpayer, I think it's absolutely outrageous. Of course it will be a huge magnet for others to illegally cross the channel on small boats. The people traffickers will be rubbing their hands with glee. That's an interesting point, actually. Imagine the people traffickers saying to potential clients, and don't worry, we'll get you across for £5,000, whatever it might be. You can't lose, because if you don't get to stay in the UK, they'll give you 10 grand to come back, or if you take your missus or somebody else and your kids, you get 40 grand. Graham in Romford. Graham, you're on the radio. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Nick. It's just taken the wind out in sails there.
Oh,
really.
Sorry, sir. Go on.
So it's quite obvious what will happen is that you'll have a young chap here who's here illegally. He'll take his 10 grand, go back home, give some to his brother, who will then buy an airline ticket. No problem. You don't need to go to a people trafficker. No. Just get on an airplane, dispose of your passport en route, flush it down the toilet, arrive in the UK, get another £10,000. They're going to do it for their family. And then it'd be their cousins, everyone. It'll just be...
When the government will not accept, as they didn't just now, that is a magnet, what would you say to them lastly, Graham?
They're deluded. Absolutely off their heads.